Welcome, brave souls, to another dark tale from the heart of haunted history. Tonight, we journey to the ominous depths of Rudwick Forest, where the whispers of the past and ghostly shadows await. For centuries, this forest has been shrouded in mystery, hiding secrets that chill the bones and silence the brave. Join us as we uncover the tale of the Witch of Rudwick Forest, a story of forbidden pacts, eerie disappearances, and supernatural forces that defy time. Are you ready to enter the darkness? Then, let the story begin. The autumn wind whistled through the ancient oaks of Rudwick Forest, carrying with it centuries of whispered rumors and unexplained disappearances. Dr. Sarah Chen adjusted her thermal imaging camera, while her colleagues, Marcus Reynolds and Diana Torres, checked their EMF meters and audio equipment. As paranormal investigators with over a decade of experience each, they'd explored countless haunted locations. But Rudwick Forest was different. Here, people didn't just report ghostly sightings, they vanished without a trace. According to the archives, Sarah began, consulting her tablet. The disappearances date back to 1683, when a woman named Agnes Blackwood was accused of witchcraft by the townspeople of Rudwick Village. Rather than face execution, she fled into these woods. Her breath formed small clouds in the chilly October air. They say she made a pact with dark forces to protect herself, but the price was steep. She had to provide souls to feed whatever entity she bargained with. Diana shivered, though not from the cold. The missing persons cases do follow a pattern. Every victim was last seen near the old witch's cottage ruins, always during the waning moon, just like tonight. Marcus, the team's historian and skeptic, frowned at the GPS coordinates. The cottage should be about half a mile ahead. The last disappearance was just 3 months ago, a local teenager who was supposedly recording a social media video. As they ventured deeper into the forest, their flashlight beams caught glimpses of odd symbols carved into the trees, ancient runes that seemed to pulse with a faint phosphorescence in the darkness. The undergrowth became denser, and the natural sounds of the forest grew unnaturally quiet. They found the cottage ruins just where the old maps indicated. Crumbling stone walls formed a rough square with a collapsed chimney at one end. Diana's EMF meter suddenly spiked, its display flickering wildly. "These readings are off the charts," she whispered, her professional demeanor cracking slightly. Sarah's thermal camera showed strange cold spots that seemed to move with purpose around the ruins. As she panned across the scene, a humanoid shape appeared briefly in the display. Tall, emaciated, with long flowing robes. "Guys, you need to see this." But before she could show them, a woman's laughter echoed through the trees. Not the cackling of fairy tales, but a soft, seductive chuckle that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The temperature plummeted, their breath now coming in visible plumes. Marcus's digital recorder captured a whispered voice. "Seekers of truth, you've come so far." The words were clear as day, though none of them had heard them in real time. Suddenly, the ground beneath the ruins began to glow with an eerie green light, revealing more runes carved into the stone foundation. Diana, who had been standing in the center of the ruins, gasped as the light seemed to coalesce around her feet. "I can't move!" she cried out, genuine fear in her voice. Sarah and Marcus rushed forward to help, but an invisible force held them back. The air filled with the scent of burning herbs and decay. Diana's form began to fade, becoming translucent like morning mist. "Sarah! Marcus! Do something!" Diana's voice had become distant, echoing as if from the bottom of a well. Marcus grabbed a handful of salt from his equipment bag, a precaution he'd always considered unnecessary until now, and threw it at the glowing runes. The green light flickered and sputtered. Sarah pulled out an ancient charm she'd been given by a Romanian grandmother years ago, one she'd kept as a good luck token. As she held it up, it grew warm in her hand, and Diana's form began to solidify. With a sound like a thunderclap, the light vanished. Diana collapsed, solid and whole, into Marcus's arms. The forest fell silent again, but this time it was the normal silence of an autumn night, filled with the soft rustling of leaves and distant owl calls. They helped Diana to her feet, all three shaking from the encounter. As they hurriedly packed their equipment, Sarah's thermal camera caught one last image. A woman's face in the ruins, beautiful and terrible, her eyes filled with an ancient hunger. But there was something else in that expression, frustration, and perhaps a hint of respect. The team made their way back through the darkened forest, supporting each other. Their investigative detachment shattered, but their bonds strengthened. They had their evidence, hours of recordings, thermal images, and EMF readings that would keep paranormal researchers busy for years. But they also had something more valuable. They had survived the curse of Rudwick Forest, and in doing so, have saved countless future lives. For in the years that followed, no more disappearances were reported in Rudwick Forest. Some say Agnes Blackwood's pact was broken that night, and potential victims finally proved strong enough to resist her magic. Others suggest she simply found respect for those who dared to face her on their own terms. The truth remains elusive, as it often does in such cases, but one thing is certain. In the small town of Rudwick, parents no longer warn their children about wandering into the forest at night. The witch of Rudwick Forest still watches from the shadows, but her hunger for souls seems to have been, at last, appeased. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the heart of Rudwick Forest. Whether the curse was broken or simply appeased, one truth remains. Darkness like this never truly fades. If you enjoyed this tale of mystery and fear, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more haunted history. And remember, the next time you find yourself on the edge of a dark forest, listen closely. You might just hear the whispers of Rudwick's witch. Until next time, stay curious and stay brave.